Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 72nd episode of our first run through House of Light, playing as the Archaeologist. I'm a librarian of Hush House, and this journal will record what arose from my crime and my curse. The Archaeologist's dearest wish when they came to the house was to record a history where their crime could be forgiven or redefined. But you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with a Skolakosophy wisdom. Memories the Archaeologist. I opened a tomb and found too late that it was a prison. The plague that I released is now my shadow, or perhaps I am its reflection. It is too late to set matters right, but it is never too late to protect the future from the past. In Hush House I can do no harm. Perhaps I can even make amends. So we finished all of the lessons that we wanted to get from the salon. Now, I meant to, before recording this episode, take a look at at what I would do with Mr. Kill. So I'm going to just take a quick second here. So with Mr. Kill, we'd start with 2 winters. So if I did Whist for 2, so that would be 4. Then the Wormwood Dream would take us up to 10. And then I would need to get 2 more. So I guess the Pale Marrow might be a way of doing that. I was just trying to think if I could somehow save myself the trouble of making a Solomon's Preparation, but I don't think I will. So with that in mind, I will hire Denzil to open up the Screaming Summit. We'll also hire Denzil for a couple of other things as well. So autumn is the time for the Orchard Keeper. That doesn't really get us anything that's too relevant to our interests right now, but I can definitely see Denzil working on the Broken Bridge. The Rustling Stair would probably be one for spring, with the miner coming to the village, and then I guess he could also help with the Room of Rusts. So here we'll use the Arab to bring in Denzil. Denzil rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. And I can't see any need for the Faust, so we will help with letters again. Hopefully I'm a little bit better on the timer on that, so I just don't dedicate it completely to earning money. Now, I do want to make sure that I get the Solomon's Preparation reasonably quick. So Quenchings and Quellings is my highest winter to work with. Yeah, so I need a memory for that as well. Okay. Let's do... I'll use the Arab to read one of the books with an impulse. And then I can read a book. Obviously here we won't use the Whist, so we'll use the Faust to read a book with Winter. It could be Hindsight, Regrets. Let's do Hindsight. So I figured the breakdown I'll do for the... Excuse me. The breakdown that I'll do for today... Sorry. Except for the Whist. The Shaft and the Metal will be something that I kind of keep for free in terms of just generating memories. The Core, Fet, Health, and Tryst will be used for things like going to Crowcross Sands. In fact... Because I tend to have too many tryst at the end of the day, we'll God, sorry. At least try to point away from the mic, but I never like sneezing on the broadcast. Okay. The other thing that I need to keep in mind is that I don't have any inks for the salon, although it didn't really hurt us to yeah, actually I'm gonna be quite short on Elements of the Soul for today. All right, that's fine. One trip to Cross Sands, one ink, and then we'll use this last tryst to read the text. Okay. So I think it's probably best for me to... I think I'm just going to talk with Denzil. Well, yeah, no. I'll keep talking with Denzil to get some memories first, and then once I know I have all the components for the room, then I'll give him the Wormwood Dream. So I don't think the rain's going to help us in terms of any kinds of leveling that we want to do, but obviously I retain the option. I don't know why I did it that way. I separated these for a reason. Yeah, so just if it's not clear, the one memory was so I can read the Fire Circle Tantra, the other one is so I can make the Solomon's Preparation. The Solomon's Preparation is so I can use that with the Wormwood Dream and a Whisk to level Denzil up to open up the Screaming Summit, and then while we do that, we'll be able to level up the Solutions and Separations before the end of the season. Ambrosial, Ambrose Westcott's inventive, one might say pioneering, or indeed buccaneering essays into kitchencraft. Westcott proudly announces his intention to transform cuisine to become an engine of alchemy, a fount of war. Westcott compares the ferocity of fire with the intensity of appetite as, in essence, one essence. A fire's ability to transform and destroy grows when it is offered the correct fuel. So too, he implies, can a sufficiently inspired appetite allow its possessor to consume greatly, strangely, unwisely. And an introduction to the histories. The 17th century mystic and antiquarian Claude Hirsalt describes divergent incidents in 5 major histories. The prologue warns at length of the iniquities of one Julian Cosley, a former colleague who Hirsalt now describes darkly as a worm of worms. It seems Cosley advised Hirsalt early in the writing of the book, but Hirsalt later became suspicious. Hirsalt identifies blood, silver, design, and the worms as the central axes of each of the histories, and claims that the so-called second history is the true one. Alright, there's our first cat wink, so we're going to need 4 more of those before the next salon. And we've done our help with letters, so we will restore the frost. So, we'll get the basics down for our house exploration. Craft Solomon's Preparation. Muddle and mix a wintry preparation. And then with our moth, we will read the File Circle Tantra at Natan's desk. It's an apothecary's desk, all right, but it dates from at least 100 years after Natan of Regensburg came here. Of course, his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson were all Natans too. Okay, so the Fire Circle Tantra, add an impulse. And I think I said my Edict's Liminal was my highest moth. Oh, you know what? Okay, that's fine. Edict's Liminal and Inks of Revelation are the same for that purpose. Moth choice. I can master this mystery. Enough moth to match mystery moth. So at this point, I think what I want to do, I'm going to hold back and do... I'm just going to let the day sort of run by and see what my options are for the memories. Actually, don't think I'm going to need a fet. Yeah, so we can go to the moor at least. He does a lot with silence, this man. So one small drawback that I've wound up with is that because I needed to use the whist to make Solomon's preparation, I actually need to pay to restore it at the Sweet Bones. I think trying to get that back with the water might be a little too much. Mavis locks a pale rack washed up on the beach by Brandkrug. I'm running out of places to put these, although if I can get another point into quenchings and quellings, that will be helpful for making further Solomon's preparation. I'm not too worried about using the core and the... Hang on. Shame on me. I thought I was using a fet, not a health. But yeah, so I'm not too worried about the core and the health simply because it doesn't take a whole lot to be able to do the gardening. Although, of course, now I just have the one... Oh, no tuppence, no beer. All right. Obviously, I'm letting a few things slip by. Because it's only 25 seconds, we're going to take the time... I'm going to bring back the whist right away, then we can worry about restoring the Faust. And despite the day's troubles, I feel comfortable enough to give him the Wormwood Dream. Alright, with Keeper level Winter, Solomon's preparations are a precursor to the Great Ink Nillikant. We'll go straight to the Sweet Bones. The Sweet Bones has been the public house in Brandkrug since Cromwell's time. Its history is notable, its beer is not. Guests looking for discreet employment or for discreet assistance congregate in the snug. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal in a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. So, given that I've already used up one of my... For some reason, I was under the impression that the core could be used to do the gardening, so that was a particularly bad oversight. All right. Well, because I have the spare, I will draw up some water because I can. I think I'm going to go and get some more vegetables. I already have a pretty decent collection. And actually, at some point, I thought I was going to get more eggs, but I've got enough for now. Yeah, we'll be able to give Mr. Kill, we'll be able to give Denzel the Solomon's preparation right away, and then by then we should have the, the whist back. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Mushrooms. Eat them on toast, bake them with potatoes, or pickle them alone. Alright, well, I was originally going to use the fet to walk on the moor, so... Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made a difference for the day, so we will now... give him a drink. Solomon Husher would take this every night without fail before sleep to close his ears to the sound of the waves. But on the 9th of January, 1838, heavy snow fell on Hush House. When the other residents dug themselves out, Husher was nowhere to be found. He had left a resignation letter and an undrunk measure of his preparation. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. Okay, the Fire Circle Tantra. The one known extant copy of this in Western Europe was stolen from the British Library in 1892, when Harvey Haddington confessed to the crime and claimed to have eaten it with butter and garlic in a moment of ungovernable whimsy. Herein, the great hooded princes are shown beseeching the wood to rise and devour the invading Timrid army. The Dapple King, the Honey Tree, and the Sea Twins all deny their request until they enlist the help of a burrowing secret keeper. Armed with blackmail material from the burrowing secret keeper, the great hooded princes petition the powers of the wood for a second time and are successful. 1/4 of the Timrid army is devoured by bees, 1/4 drowns themselves, and 1/4 disrobe themselves until nothing remains. So 2 solutions and separations, and an intuition for our trouble. Sacre bleu. Alright. Oddly enough, I don't think that intuition helps me with solutions and separations. Good lord, I'm never going to be able to get that. Give it a temporary home here. Yeah, alright, that puts me on the back foot, but we can at least add solutions and separations to the collection. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. The knock will let me level it up, so then the question is, do I have anything I can do with core and metal? I guess probably the better use for my core here would be to try and make some kind of meal. So we'll use the metal to... I guess I can get it to make a salt, let's say. A magnificent 18th century secretary desk commissioned for Lady Ava Brankrug, Lady Ava de Wolf, last of the Brankrug de Wolves. So yeah, we'll use... we'll get a salt from that, just because we know Denzel isn't going to be able to copy that over. So what kind of a dish do I want to make, I suppose, is the obvious question. So I feel like Strathcoyne is a usual participant. So I think maybe we'll, because we've got so much beef, we can do that, and roasting a beef joint will give me what I need for the game chips. Down to the Grushians. This has boosted their aspects appropriately. Now, I would have thought that we would have the whist by this point. 5 seconds. Okay. So I'll wait to talk with Denzel before... Alright, better now. So that gets us our 12. We'll watch for what lies ahead. My shaft is open, so... Ooh. I didn't consider that, really. Okay, well, what I can do here, I can actually restore the... This is going to seem a little crazy, but I'll restore the tryst here, because I'll still have enough time to use the shaft to earn something from the sweet bones, but then that what I'll be able to do next is make another catwink. So another leaf on the Tree of Wisdom. Solutions and separations. The surgeon plies the knife, and the mason plies the chisel. There are subtler tools than either. So obviously our first step is to get the salt. I can't really see a situation where I would use a memory that Denzel gives me, but I'll maybe... Actually, no, I was going to say I was going to talk with him, but let's actually just open up the room. Alright, a little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. Again, this wasn't necessary, but it's a nice to have, seeing as I sort of bungled the use of my elements of the soul. Carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. I should still have room for at least one more. Nope. I definitely have more vegetables than I need, but these are among the more versatile ingredients. So if I give up an element of the soul, I can kind of turn it into not whatever I want, but I can definitely turn it into some useful things. But the Screaming Summit. Here the wind's rage is so great that I can barely stand upright. It forces me to retreat back to the stairs. I can hear the voice in the wind now, crying out in sorrow as great as the wind's rage. A Pale Lady and a Prince of Wines, an anonymous biography of Ava de Wolf, last of the de Wolfs, focused rather salaciously on her personal troubles and intrigues. Ava de Wolf is engaged to one Abraham Wheellock, but he leaves her at the altar. Furious and humiliated, she returns to Brankrug and is not seen in London again. 3 days after her departure, Abraham Wheellock's body is washed up near Gravesend. His face is so badly pecked by birds that he is only identified by his belongings. These include a waxed pouch containing a letter addressed to Wheellock, whose contents seem to show he is a spy in the pay of the Austrians. Subsequent investigation suggests that the letter is a forgery, but the matter remains obscure. Lord Franklin Bancroft, sometimes called the Prince of Wines, begins a series of visits to Brankrug House. His relationship with Ava becomes a source of scandal. Ava is by now 49, but rumors persist for years of a de Wolf Bancroft heir. Ava's biographer claims that before her drowning death, her child by Bancroft was adopted by her friends the Southies, that the child became the sister of the later poet laureate Robert Southey. No real evidence is provided in support of this claim. Alright, so let's get the level that I wanted. So again, intuition doesn't do anything on this one, but that's why we got the salt. You know, one thing that would have been nice to do, it's too late now, but because I have the intuition, I could have combined that with the old wound or the confounding parable and made another wormwood dream. Anyways, not something to really get torn up about now. I think in this case, there's a couple things I can do with the shaft. For instance, I could make another amethyst ampule, but in this case, I think I'll just... I did restore 2 elements of the soul already, so I'll just get another 6 to make myself whole, and then unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. And then from there, what I'll do is maybe take the... Sorry, what I'll try and do is I'll try and make sure that I rush the inks next season. Alright, roast a beef joint, a dish with edge, forge, heart, and scale. I guess in winter we can host it in the olive division. Sorry. The Roast Beef of Old England is a surprisingly catchy tune if you have not looked it up. I do recommend it. Nope. Okay. So again, that's 2 of the 5 inks, pots of Catwink that we'll need, but we're in pretty good shape. So I'll wait for the... after sundown, we'll put the confounding parable away. The only real reason for hanging on to the confounding parable is just it gives me the 3 elements of this, or sorry, 3 aspects rather than the 2 that I normally get. And then, of course, because we'll have another room open... Gullscry Towers Summit. In 1721, Valentine fell or leapt from the tower top. There were no witnesses, and his body was not found for 3 days. His daughter Ava was the last to see him alive, and of their last conversation, she would only say that he had begun to fear the sun. So we have a granite slab, long cold volcano blood, a pot of divinity, a lush and hungry ornament, dandelion wine, homemade flower wine, Valentine's memorial. Valentine died 2 centuries ago. This stone is much newer, more like 2 decades old. The Atlantic amber, sunset's colors, pine's blood, and remember what has passed. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done, and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Okay. Oops. So I don't think I can make that much progress through the day, but we can at least make a little bit before we finish our time together. What I'll do here is I'll wait to see what the weather brings before I commit any elements of the soul. Sorry, when I say the weather brings, I mean the proper crossover of the season. Yep. Thought that might happen. On that note, I'm actually going to leave it because, of course, we know something rather big happens at Numa. So this will be a bit of an interesting one for me to handle, if I'm completely honest, because I do have a couple of options available to me in terms of things that I can do during Numa. And I think I actually want to have a little bit of a think in terms of how I'm going to approach this. One option that I have is to try and break up one of these skills that I have. Now, to do so, it would help if I had a lot of elements of the soul. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. One thing that's for sure is I am going to be able to make some money. Which is good. It also makes me very happy that I didn't use Peter Ictus' card right away. But yeah, I think even though we have a couple minutes left, I think this Numa is going to be interesting for a lot of different reasons. And I think I want to have a think before I make a firm decision on how I'm going to handle it. So, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Take care.